Oh, hello there. I'm trying to listen to something that's really hard to hear and capture, and that is the actual thoughts of a child. Hey, welcome back to the Kidology Laboratory, where we study how kids think, how they learn, how they communicate, and ultimately how we can reach them for Jesus. You know, we live in a noisy world, and it can be really hard to understand what kids are thinking about. And even more so because we're so often teaching kids the correct answers, and they're pleasers by nature, and so they want to tell us what we want to hear. So how do we find out what they're really thinking and what they're really concerned with and worried about or wondering about? Kids need to be heard. Well, obviously we can ask them questions, but you know what? Questions sometimes tend to be trivia based, where we're trying to get correct answers out of them. That's why we need to ask questions that are personal questions that get them thinking about how do they relate to something, or analytical that ask them why do they think something happens. But I stopped asking kids for answers years ago. I asked for guesses, and here's why. I had a little boy in my ministry, and every week, no matter what I asked, he was like, oh, Pastor Carl. And so I would call on him, and he would think, and he'd go, Moses. And I'd be like, no, it's not Moses. So finally one week, thinking that I was really savvy, I called on him, and when he got all excited, I asked a question where the answer was finally Moses. And he was all ready to answer, and he went, Jesus? And I was like, oh no, it was Moses. Oh, and the pain on his face that he finally would have been right if he'd only stuck to his usual answer. So I shared it with a friend, and they said, Carl, don't ask for answers, ask for guesses, because a guess is always correct. You can always say, that is a great guess, but, and then lead them toward what you're really driving at. Another key for getting kids to talk is silence. Silence is golden. You know, when you ask a question and no one responds, there's this awkward silence, and you feel uncomfortable, like maybe you asked a bad question, or maybe nobody knows the answer, and so you fill that silence as quickly as you can. But you got to believe that silence is as awkward for the kids as it is for you. So let that silence linger. And one of the kids trying to fill that silence will finally venture a guess, and then you're able to get the conversation going. But give kids opportunities to share really what's going on in their heart and mind. You can have an anonymous way that kids can turn in. I have had a puppet with a Dear Molly box where kids could write notes to the puppet and ask questions about theology or share prayer requests. And there's been times I've had to go to the child and say, you know, Molly shared your note with me, and I'd like to talk to you about that. And it's opened up a door of conversation for something that they may not have been comfortable sharing with an adult, but they shared it with that beloved puppet character, and that led to a conversation with adult. So give kids opportunities to answer questions, to have a feedback mechanism. If you really want to know what kids are interested in, one of the great resources we have on Kidology is the All About Me sheet. This is free for our All Access members. It's available super cheap in our store. This is a resource where you have every kid in your ministry fill this out. They give you their name, their age, their contact info, their favorite candy, favorite things to eat, favorite app, favorite famous people, anything, books, movies that kids put down here that you don't know, you Google it, you find out about it, and you become an expert on the world of kids. But on the back, there's even some opportunities for them to tell you about their family. When they draw their family, you might learn some insights into their family structure and dynamic by literally just how they draw their family. And then there's some questions about what they're good at, what they're bad at, but there's also what I wish my parents knew, what I would change about church. So kids need to be heard, and you need to create ways for them to give you that feedback so that you can know more about them, their world, and about their experience at church. You can get that at kidology.org/allaboutme. But what about talking to kids one-on-one? Train your people who work with kids how to talk to kids, because if you just ask kids simple questions. They answer with right? You've gotten those grunt answers or those one-word answers. If you want to fish for information out of your kids, use the acronym of FISH. Just have in the back of your mind, F-I-S-H. Don't tell the kids this. This is kind of your secret up your sleeve. The F is simply to ask them about their family. Learn about moms and dads and brothers and sisters, and pets are a big part of the family. The I is their interests. Ask them, what they're interested in. Do they collect anything? Are they involved in any kind of sports or anything like that? Do they play a musical instrument? And then the S is school. Ask them what their favorite subject is. Of course, most are going to say recess. Ask them what they're really good at. That's where you can ask about what they could see themselves maybe doing someday. And the final H is hobbies. What hobby do you have? And get them talking about that. As you get kids talking about themselves, you'll get a lot of insight into them and into all of your kids. Our kids need to be heard. And adults do so much of talking at kids that when you become an adult that listens and asks open-ended questions, everybody loves to talk about themselves. And so get kids talking because they want to be heard, they want you to get to know them, and it will be a powerful insight into them and their world if you'll do that. So it's time to put on your listening ear and start listening to your kids. How's it look?